Hi, Alyssa. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's such a treat to have you here because of all your wisdom teachings, the work you do with the Naam Network, your new moon and full new moon rituals, which I've had the pleasure of being a part of, and because we have our upcoming class together for the summer solstice, I wanted to give people a little sneak peek of the type of wisdom teachings you're going to be offering that night.
Yes. Ooh, I love it. I'm excited. I'm so excited for our event together.
But let's talk about what you and I just did offline to prepare for this podcast. We did the triple mantra. Can you share with the audience what that is?
Yes. Okay. So anytime, like all of your power is before you start something, before you start a project. It's basically the premise. It's called the law of Aleph, or like the seed. If you want a certain tree to grow, you have to plant a certain type of seed. So a lot of times we kind of just go through things, we just go and then later like, oh my gosh, that's not what I wanted. So anytime before I start a project or, do a class or even take an airplane, like I always do triple mantra 3 times because it's for blessings, it's for protection, it's to light your way, it's to get unstuck, it's to remove obstacles. So I thought, hey, we're doing this podcast. Let's, do triple mantra 3 times together so we can have the most beautiful flow. All the wisdom that needs to come out comes out, and you bless your project before you do it.
Absolutely. And the triple mantra is literally what we're saying. It's a mantra that you say 3 times.
Yeah, yeah. It's so beautiful because basically you call on the light when you do it. And there are mantras, they're in different languages, and we actually do them all the time unconsciously. Like a lot of times we're just sort of talking in our head or running down the street. So, you may not think like, oh my gosh, I'm actually doing a mantra, but you can consciously program a project or your day or even a meal with the words that you're saying. And so, yeah, triple mantra, there's 3 parts to it. We say it 3 times. And part of how it works too are the actual letters and the sounds. It can help you to get unstuck like internally. Sometimes it's like you're trying to do something in the world and outside everything looks good, but like if internally you don't feel right, it's hard. It's hard to keep going. So the mantra kind of unblocks you from the inside. And also in the external world, sometimes there's traffic, there's something that's not working. And so part of how it works is the sound vibration, the letters. The letters in it, you'll know the mantra is such, has such in it. The letter S is to help clear the lungs, which can remove grief. And sound of odd such is good to for the liver, and sometimes we're like stuck and like things not working because of the liver. So beautiful mantra.
Yeah, I took a meditation class with Chris Merrill, who talked about how helps cool the fire, cools the liver. And if we're going to get ready to go to bed and we start saying shh to the kids and the people around us, it's cooling us all down. So we actually quiet down and can get ready for bed. So I
Exactly.
really find learning about words and the vibration that comes off words so fascinating, how we're truly, as they say, casting spells every day
Yeah.
unconsciously.
Yeah, we have so much more power than we realize and know. And it's that I think is one of the biggest things that's changed my life and my practice is bringing more attention to my words, what I'm saying, or maybe what I choose not to say. Yeah.
So you are such a great teacher. Can you talk about who you've learned about the summer solstice and the winter solstice from?
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Dr. Joseph Michael Levry is my teacher, my spiritual master teacher, and I've probably been going to at least I don't know how many years, 20 plus years of solstices and equinox celebrations. And I learned from Dr. Levry about the power of nature and cycles and timing. It's like there's so much support around us, and there is a natural rhythm that's affecting us. Again, sometimes we get caught up in our life and, just go and live automatically. But it's like, oh, there's the sunrise, the sunset, the new moon, the full moon. And, you have the cycles within the month with the moon, but the sun has a cycle and there's important times in the year based on the summer solstice, the winter solstice, the spring. So I learned about it through my teacher, Dr. Levry. you know I always remember him saying it is like it's like you try, you have to experience it for yourself. And so I began kind of testing out the wisdom and studying the planets and using those times of the solstice and equinox to really work on myself, because they're powerful times where you can heal yourself, you can manifest. There's like a lot of prana. So Dr. Levry would share, and he still does, like sometimes we go to Mexico, we have huge massive events where we all get together, we meditate, we pray for healing, for life change, is like using that time of the year to improve yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. It works for me. I've been doing it each year, like each time. And then the more that you can plan, you can prepare yourself for that week. It's like a special event, a wedding, opening of your business. Oh, okay, it's summer solstice is coming up. We can actually start preparing for that now, and then use that energy to help us through the rest of the year.
So why does the summer solstice matter? I think for so many of us that grew up in Southern California, we look forward to the first day of summer, which, schools used to always be timed to be released around June 21st, which is the official first day of summer usually. But beyond just the weather changing, it be officially time for us to play at the beach or play outdoors. Why does it even matter in this day and age?
Yeah. Well, it is considered the longest day of the year, right? Which symbolically and literally, it's the most amount of light, right?
Yeah.
So you have so much light. So it's a symbol of victory of light over darkness. So that's powerful.
That is.
And there are waves in the year, there's times where you can collect energy and prana. So the spring is like kind of the highest time of collecting the prana and the energy. That's why it's good to be outside and, walk on the green grass and, take good care of yourself, start getting more active. And then the next highest sort of tide of energy and prana in the year is the summer. So the way I look at it is these are the times where I want to work on my health. I want to do my breath work. I want to meditate. I want to collect as much energy as I can. It's like preparing yourself for the rest of the year, which fall you have a little bit less, and then winter would be like the least amount of prana that you can get and receive. Spring and summer are like the best times of year where you can improve your health, you can collect the prana, you can get the energy that's going to carry you through the rest of the year.
So if we look at ourselves like a solar panel, this is the time that we need to soak up as much rays as possible to, run our facility through the winter. That's really interesting.
Yeah. When you know that, it's like, okay, it's like a little bit more, all right, you know what, maybe I am going to go out and take that walk instead of stay home. It's like, let me get outside. Let me do these things. Like, this is going to give me the energy for the whole rest of the year. And that you can use for your health, but also, it's your emotions, your energy, your attitude. We need that light throughout the whole year, especially in these times. There's so much that's changing. So we need to fortify ourselves. Yeah.
So I always have heard that the days leading up to the summer solstice are really important and are really powerful. And we really need to have like our mindset correct. We need to not be dwelling on negativity. And we need to be getting really clear on what we want to be inviting in for the season between the summer solstice and the winter solstice. Is that correct?
Yes, you could look at like the solstice and equinox, it's like a check-in, a marker, those 4 quarters, those 4 seasons. So, your spring would be a check-in time, your summer, because that's like the most amount of light. It's the peak. So to connect with your spirit, to set with your intention. And then, you're going to check in again that fall equinox, and then the winter solstice will be your other times of year where you reset and you connect. But it's sort of like this, it's like in the day, you have a white tide of energy from midnight until 12 noon, and it increases. And then there's less. The same thing in the year. So we've been in spring, we're going to summer. It's like the energy is culminating. We want to maximize on that time with our intention, with our, our practice, I love how you said that. You're preparing yourself, even in advance of that day to get ready. Yeah.
So is the summer solstice a super powerful manifestation day?
Yes.
Or is it just, okay.
Yeah, it is a super powerful manifestation day. And then on top of that, this year, we're still like right in the waxing moon. I think the full moon is just right around there. So you have The waxing moon is from the new moon up into the full moon. And so the summer solstice this year is right at that like culmination. It's about to be the full moon. So you have even more like energy, power, emotions that you can use towards your health and towards your manifestation.
So does that mean every time it's a waxing moon, we have a little bit more manifestation power?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. So that's another cycle, another tide that,
Yeah.
we can align with. And it's, again, it's like it affects us. But when you know about it, you can use that energy to like ride with life instead of sometimes feeling like, why are things not working? It's like, oh, we need to be in harmony with nature.
And that's exactly it. And that's very much why I like to have these conversations, or why I wanted to do our class together down at the Ecology Centers, because I myself just want to flow with more ease and grace. And I find that when it comes to these powerful days, it's hard to kind of identify what you want to invite more of into your life, or simply just invite into your life. I think everybody wants a life full of more ease and grace, but are we supposed to specifically call out our wants and needs, or are we supposed to be just a little more open with what we're asking for?
I would say both. It's really, it's sort of like every time you have like another opportunity to show up, and we're just, we're continually refining ourselves. So maybe, we didn't like the fact that like, about it, it can become more conscious and you can use it to work for yourself. So yes, you can get very specific. I know people, they like write their whole list, they bring it with them, and they're meditating with the whole group with that energy,
Yes.
And maybe someone just shows up like, wow, how did I get here? But something changes, something will change when you bring your consciousness and attention there. But the more specific you are, yeah, I mean, it's just gonna happen.
Now, if someone was at home on the summer solstice, I keep hearing over and over again, specifically right now, how important it is to put your manifestations in writing, or put what you want in writing, that the written word carries a lot of value in this matrix, in this world. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, and there's a few reasons for it. Partially, it's like you're crystallizing, right? It's specific. There's a lot of times like, we're like, oh, I want this, and then maybe you want something else. It's like it helps crystallize it in the material plane when you write it down. It's like a number, it becomes more of a symbol, a field of force, instead of kind of this amorphous, like, oh, I might want to do this, but maybe that, sometimes it's like, wait, no, what is it that you want? Like, commit to it, be specific. And it also engages the senses. We call it, in the mystical terms, like in Naam Yoga, you have a sun brain, a moon brain, and an earth brain. And, life is that art dancing between the sun, the moon, and the earth. So the sun has to do with your thoughts, your intellect. And the moon is your feelings, your emotion. And then the earth would be like a physical or your motor brain. So when you write, you have to think, and you're physically writing, and you're using your hand, which is the extension of the heart. The best even actually secret is to like put on some music that really inspires you and stirs your emotions. Then you've got all three, the sun, the moon, and the earth. And it can become like, like a talisman for you when you write that down. When you're specific, you're clear, you have it on. It's like a commitment, a declaration to the universe. Like, yeah, I stand for this. I'm putting my name behind it. Even actually, you can sign your name on there. That's very powerful too.
I never thought of signing my name on there. That's a great idea. But I want to go back to something that you just said, how your hand is what was
An
the
extension of the heart. Yeah.
heart?
Yes.
Which is so beautiful, obviously, as a chef and somebody who cooks all the time. And we all know what it's like to receive a meal that feels like it was made with love. But I don't think we often remember that writers and other craftsmen, it's an extension of their heart as well.
Yeah. So you put your heart into it when you write it down.
That's really, really beautiful. So I would say if someone was at home on the summer solstice and they've listened to this podcast, they should write down a few of the things that they want to call in, and fold it up and seal it with a little fire.
Well, there are many different things you can do with the fire. One thing you could do that works very powerfully is Yes, you write it down and make sure that you always write it in the positive, you know.
Okay.
So like you want to bring something in, and the way you do it is you write it you could write it in a few ways as if it has already happened. You can write it with this feeling of gratitude, you know. So instead of saying like, for example, say somebody wants to get a new job, like, you don't write, I want to get a new job. You're like,
Yes.
thank you. I'm so grateful. Like this for this next best job. Or, I love what I'm doing. It makes me so happy. I'm getting to do what I love. It's better than I expected. You're the author. You're creating this. So you really want to write it in a way that's so positive, and it's already happening. And then yeah, put your feelings into it. So there are I would keep it with you, so you have it. And there are rituals you can do where, yes, you would burn it. There's even things you can do with nature where you use certain leaves as a type of paper to write it on. The only thing I would say is don't burn things that you don't want. Because when you burn something, it seals it in the astral plane. So sometimes people are like, this person and da da da, and then all these things happen. I'm so mad. I'm going to burn it. That's not like maybe the best way to do it. There's a little difference since we're talking about manifesting. So you can do it. You just want it to be like so positive with so much love. And then there's like, the element of fire. There's angels of fire. They work on it to help it manifest for you. So yes, you can do that. Just make it very positive.
So I would say probably most people listening to this episode would love to even take their health up to the next level. Maybe they're already healthy. Maybe they just want to elevate to another level. So something I would love to like work through, one thing that somebody can write down together, you and I, if someone's looking for an idea. So if someone wanted to upgrade their health, and be more vibrant and full of more life force energy and vitality, can they just say like, I feel so full of life force energy, so vibrant, so youthful, so full of joy. Thank you so much for coming into my life or fueling my body. Just something, just keep it positive like that.
Yes, exactly. I mean, even as you said it, I felt so strengthened by that. It's so powerful. And yeah, I would write it. That's why if you have it, it's something that you could even say every morning. It's like your personal power. Some people you might want to put it on your fridge so you can see it, you can remind yourself, or maybe it's just something like, there's different scenarios. Sometimes you want to be reminded of it, and sometimes you don't want like necessarily the whole world to see. So you choose, but you could have it in the morning and you talk to yourself in the mirror and you say it. And the way you had your energy, your feeling in it, that brings even like more power. And you could add like sometimes you can use the I am, right? I am is
Oh,
like
great
such a powerful
idea.
mantra. So anything that you say after I am is like God, is like a boost power. So anything you say afterwards is like starts happening. That's why we always want to be conscious throughout the day. Like, oh, how am I using my I am? Because sometimes we say stuff like, maybe like, no, that's not what I want. So since you're taking the time to write it down here, I would get an I am in there, like I am feeling so I am. And
Great
yeah,
idea.
you write it with that energy and that emotion and that positivity.
Perfect. So, can we talk about also a little bit more about what's going on with our hands and our fingers and the planets that are connected with our fingers that are playing a role in what we're writing down on the summer solstice?
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful since we are writing. And yeah, the hands, there's like, which I know we're going to talk about in our course together there with the using our hands in the food. But your hands, an extension of the heart, each finger corresponds to a planetary energy. So that's why you see different mudras, reflexology. You can activate this. Say it's like you have a pharmacy in your hands. You can heal yourself, and each finger corresponds to an element, a planet, a meridian. So, for example, if somebody has a lot of anxiety, I would give this mudra. It's called Guru Kriya Mudra. You just hold the index finger That's a large intestine meridian, and it helps to get rid of anxiety. You do a few minutes on each finger. It's so easy. It's so simple. But yeah, you can use the different mudras. The thumb corresponds to fire. You can use that like to activate your willpower, all sorts of things. If you're thinking too much, the index finger also corresponds to the air element. So one of the mudras we use a lot in Naam, it's called Vayu mudra. So you take that air element, all the like worry, and you decrease it. You bring it down. This is the Venus mound. So you bring all that thinking down to give it some love, and then you just hold the thumb on top. It's a form of Gyan mudra. Anytime you touch the tip of a finger, it balances the element. But when you bring it down, you're decreasing the element here. So this can even help with things like pain in your body, but also if there's like too much thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who's a Gemini or air sign should watch this on
Yes.
YouTube and practice this daily.
Yeah. It's so true. It's funny. It's like, yeah, I think that life is this process of continually refining and working on ourselves and balancing. We have to adjust, especially nowadays. We have to have the capacity to be flexible and to adjust and to be able to reset our own energy, which is why we're going to, use the summer solstice as a time to do that.
Yeah. What are some tools that you use at home to keep yourself balanced after you've come in from a day of being out with a bunch of people, or, as a teacher, you give so much energy to people when you teach. How do you come home and find balance?
Yeah. Well, right now, actually, this year I've been working a lot. And even before the podcast, I had a few minutes. I'm going to listen to this. There's a track. It's a meditation alpha brainwave, like 120 hertz, Brahmari, which is a humming. Brahmari means humming bee. And so you work on your brain, you kind of massage the brain. And I've been finding that practice, so it sounds like this, you do Om, but you keep your mouth closed. So it's like, you go as long as you can. The track I'm using is from Dr. Levry. It's on higher frequency healing. So that's where there's some of the alpha waves in there. But basically what it does is it resets you, and it can like gives you an edge, basically. So it's not that like as much as you meditate, like, oh, there's like no problems. It's like there's so much to process information wise right now in life. Like, and it's just getting faster. Like we cannot stop it. It's just the rate of change is so fast right now. So we have to work on ourselves, on our instrument. And I find that meditation, what it does is it kind of helps me like relax and then get into creative mode. So if you need like a solution or idea or trying to figure out something, how it's going to work, it's much more likely you get that when you're in a relaxed state, versus in like stress mode. It's harder to achieve that. So you can do that once or twice a day. I do it morning, sometimes morning and night. It's really soothing, really calming, but clear, brings you that clarity.
Yeah, it appears the more I keep learning is that we have to create more downtime to create.
Yes. Yeah, because when we're in beta, the brain is like, it's not a creative mode. Exactly that. And I would say it's not a luxury. It's like, in order to function nowadays, you have to take a stand or make a commitment and make that time to work on yourself for that downtime.
Yeah.
It might even be 3 minutes, but that 3 minutes can save you a lot of headaches later on because you took that time, to work on yourself.
Yeah. Rest time is so important. And I think it's hard for most people nowadays, because there's just so much we want to experience, so much we want to do, so much we want to give. Scheduling that quiet time is so important. I think there's a reason why, if you look at history, there's always been 2 rest days in a row. It's really needed to recalibrate the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental body.
Yeah, and it's so true. And I think sometimes too, like helping each other, having events or having classes or having a partner or a friend or some kind of, where you do it together. Because I know sometimes now too, we're so stimulated in our day that even when you go home to relax, it's still like it can be hard to get into that relaxation space. So sometimes having, a reason like, okay, let's do this together makes it a little easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the summer solstice approaching, what else do we need to know about kind of the history of the solstice and how people have been using it across time and space for whatever reason they were using it? Was it more for farming? Has it always been for manifestation? Has it always been for kind of fueling up the physical body of energy? What else do you know about it?
Yeah, I mean, again, I keep thinking of it as that time of the victory of light over darkness, you know. And it's like naturally it is a time of year, like the planets kind of influence the different times of year. So once you start getting into the summer, you're moving into Mars energy, which is expansive, it's active. So normally, right, in the summer, we're more out and about and we're doing things, and it's just like it's natural. You see that, right? If you're cooped up in the winter, and then once spring comes and then summer is that time to expand. Even if you can see if you wear a ring, it's like it might be a little bit like the body expands in the summer and then it's going to contract in the winter. So it is a time of expansion before that you're going to go back in again.
Okay.
And yeah.
So it's a really important time to get outside, play, connect, have barbecues, eat food outside, cook food outside, just move towards the sun.
Move towards the sun and think of collecting light, collecting prana, collecting energy, just like that you can use for your health every day to do something like that.
I was just reading actually at the beach the other day one of Dr. Levry's books, one where you're featured in it as well. And he was talking about the importance of using your body as like a panel to absorb the light first thing in the morning.
Yes.
And the different ways that you need to face in order to absorb the light. But that I believe the most important part for the light to hit is your solar plexus, your stomach.
Yeah, there's a few meditations you can do. That's amazing. You can drink it in through your solar plexus. You can also do through the nape of your neck. There's a very
Okay.
mystical spiritual point here, and expose your spine to the light of the sun. And
Okay.
the optimal time to do that is in the morning. So usually maybe like 7 or 8 a.m., depending where you live. Of course, you don't want it to be too hot, but after 12 noon, it's not the same healing benefits of the sun because you want to be in that initial white tide. So early morning, 6, 7, 8, maybe even up to 10 a.m. is good. And if someone is really sick, you can go back and forth. You can do the spine and then you can do the front side of the body. You can even do it laying down. But your solar plexus is like, you can imagine, is just like drinking in and soaking up. It's like a battery, and you will get so much energy from doing that.
Wow. So someone can just go lay outside first thing in the morning and allow the sun to just bathe on their back and their spine, and that can help rejuvenate them.
Yes, yes. That is a very powerful healing technique, and it'll feel like you're getting a massage, but it's like your brain and your spine starts soaking in that sun energy, and you start lighting up. You will feel it. You'll almost feel like, oh my gosh, the more that you do it, like each day, it becomes this ritual, and it becomes again that like your body is just collecting that energy that's going to use for your health.
So I've always been someone that wears visors over hats at the beach because I want the sun to hit my head. Is there anything to that feeling that you get when the sun hits your head and hits the back of your head?
Yeah, I mean, this is like a battery, and it's your crown chakra, which is like our connection to the universe, our feeling of being alive, your pineal gland, your pituitary gland. So it's like your antennas. You're getting that chance to soak up the light through your antenna in your crown.
Are there any books that you recommend that people check out, read, if they're into what we're talking about here today? Because I feel
Yes.
like you can listen to podcast after podcast about these topics, but how does someone dive deeper?
Yeah, well, one of the books, which is like my favorite one, I think you're referring to, is The Healing Fire of Heaven by Dr. Levry. It's all about the sun and the energy of the sun and how to do these sun meditations, but also it's like the way of the sun, which is the way of the heart, and using laughing and smiling and those kind of qualities and forgiveness. So it brings. I love that book. It's a great book, and my first copy is so dog-eared because I read it so many times. I think that's a great book, The Healing Fire of Heaven, especially for this time of year because of the solstice and the sun energy. It's packed with just information, and also how the mantras and your words carry sunlight fluid. So literally your words, how you speak, can bring life into someone or a situation, or, again, you can use your words, as you said earlier, casting spells to bless or to not bless your life.
That is so beautifully said. Your words carry sunlight fluid.
Yeah, and it talks about it in that book, The Healing Fire of Heaven. It's one of those books where you can just pick it up and you read one line and it'll like carry you through the day. And yeah, there's each chapter is quite interesting. Yeah. I love that one. I also if someone's more interested in a more physical practice, I'm excited. I wanted to share with you the Sukshmah Method Breathless Medicine book just came out. Renata and I, and Renata, we're really excited. This is the practice with breath work and Naam and micro movements that the yogis in the Himalayas would do to just get disease out of the body.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so it's a great time of year to practice the Sukshmah method as well.
Are you guys doing in-person classes in LA right now with that method?
We do. We have pop-up classes, and sometimes we'll do like 5-day retreats where you can do it every day and relax. It's a very detoxifying practice. So when you first start doing it, you feel it, but it's like, wow, it's like you want to kind of get it into your body. So we like to do it in the morning and then have some healthy food afterwards, relax, and then next day, like, okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again.
That's incredible. Did you learn about this particular type of practice through Dr. Levry?
Yes, through Dr. Levry. He introduced it and had always brought in different elements, and he introduced us to some of the great yogis. One of them, Sri Balmukhan Singh, who is like the torch holder of this Sukshmah Vyama method. So we got to work directly with him in South Africa and ask like very specific questions because this was a pretty secret practice. It's not that known in the Western world. And it's basically the yoga that yogis do before all of the asanas. A lot of times here in the West, we're used to like, oh, sun salutations and put your foot behind your head. And that's all part of this body of knowledge. But there are things that you do before you do that practice. And 80% of yoga is breath work. So you have to breathe. You do a lot of breathing, and then you do these little micro movements to get the prana flowing in each part of the body, because the body is only as strong as the weakest part. So you want to make sure that every part of your body has the prana so that you can be healthy and the energy is not leaking somewhere.
Got it. Yeah. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's so much good stuff to learn that actually support our overall well-being every day. Sometimes I just think, gosh, I wish I could have gotten into this, at the age of 11. So I could start soaking in this knowledge, because this is what we actually need to fuel our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, and thank goodness, now more and more it's like can bring it into schools, and it's, people can be exposed to it earlier. But and sometimes we laugh, we think, God, we could spend the whole day just doing all of these techniques, and we have other things to do. So I think, just what a blessing that we have access to the knowledge, and maybe, I find this, and like, okay, just we have to trust, like, okay, each part of the path in our journey that we find, sometimes you find a book or you meet a person, and how amazing that spirit is guiding us, and that we are finding the right thing that we need, at the right time.
Yeah. So with that in mind, there are people that believe everything comes to us in divine timing. Why should we even take the time on the summer solstice to write down some things that we want and put it out there? Because, it'll come to us if we work at it. And if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant for us. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that's such a good one. Well, it's sort of like, we have access to create with the universe, and now I think it's for yourself and your own happiness, but because there's so much help that's needed right now in the world, why wouldn't we up our vibration, be in alignment with nature, and just do the best that we can,
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's like you want to pray for things. You have to know what you want so that it can happen. I know a lot of people want things, but and this happened to me for a long time. I wasn't, maybe not quite specific or afraid to commit to it. And, so even though I wanted it, it didn't happen until I actually was said, yes, this is something that I want. So there is power in being true to yourself and in knowing like your desire and being okay with that. And of course, we always ask, may it happen for the greatest good. And like, I trust in the higher plan, and I have to surrender because sometimes God has different timing for us. Something happens. It says, why is it not happening now? Oh, it's going to happen. One other piece of wisdom needed to be learned so that it could happen later. So I really think we need both of those forces. We need to know what we want, and we should put it out there. And we have to also like trust and the divine flow and surrender. But it's not a time to just kind of be a passenger and be in the back seat. Like now we all need to like kind of step up and take positive action for ourselves, but for our community, because we're gonna need it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a co-creation dance. And I think this is a good reminder that if you're going to write 3 things down, maybe write 2 things down for yourself and then write 1 down for the greater good of your community or of humanity.
Yes. Yeah. And it can be fun and creative. Like the true giving is like everybody benefits. So they say that's like one of the little secrets too of manifesting. Like if you want it to happen faster, you kind of see like how could that thing help you and other people,
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What else, what other final things should people know about just creating a magical week of the summer solstice?
I think already that we're talking about it now and thinking about it, preparing for it, and just taking some moment or gesture, whatever that might be for you, to connect with your spirit. There's so much information that's out there and so many projections from people. So for someone that might mean just like taking a little time and going in nature, or taking the time to write, or doing a prayer, just something where you are connecting with your own light, your light,
Yeah, that's a great reminder. Thank you. Well, where can people connect with you and find out how they can take classes online or in person with you?
Yeah. I think the best way is through Instagram at Alyssa Naam. You can DM me, and there's a lot of great resources. Music is on rootlight.com, and the book is on the Sukshmah So there's a few different places, but reach out to me on Instagram. I'm pretty good I'd say I'm really good at just getting back and helping to share where you can find classes and things.
And you do great Instagram lives as well, like super educational. You'll really gain something from them. So I appreciate when you go live.
Thank you.
And then can you leave our listeners today with maybe one last health and wellness tip that they can consider adding into their life?
Yes. Okay. I will say this is so simple, but it's very profound. It's drinking hot water. Like first thing in the morning. And I know there are a lot of different recipes with like lemon or tea or this, but just plain hot water. It's so simple. Simplicity is divinity. So water is like the hand of God. So it's like when you do that, it goes exactly in your body where you might need it. There's physical benefits to this practice. It's good for the liver, but there's a spiritual benefit as well, because water corresponds to love. And fire corresponds to wisdom. And so hot water is like bringing that love and wisdom together. And so it gives birth to truth. So there's like a spiritual, mystical component to a very simple thing of just sipping on your hot water. And I'm sure you could share many benefits. There's like great things for digestion and all
I
that.
love that. And I really appreciate how so much of what we talked about today connects back to love and the heart, and then sharing it with others. It's just great teachings today, great wisdom. I really appreciate it, and so uplifting.
Yeah, and it's like it gives us purpose. It gives us meaning. Like life is much more enjoyable when you feel so good when you can share something with others. And sometimes it's hard because, everybody's facing their own stuff, but like the joy and the fulfillment of, the heart energy, this is summer. It's perfect time. Let's do it.
It is. I love it. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm really looking forward to playing with you at the Ecology Center on June 19th. And, so much more to come.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited. And thank you for all of the amazing podcasts and light that you share with this work. It's really, really inspiring.
Thank you. More to come. More to come for sure.